results. Some of you have already cleared it in the last attempt. Some have their attempt due next year or next to next year.
ये इतना जुम्मा चल रहा है। There is opportunity for CA.
Should we start?
Yeah, let's start. People will join in a while. Let them. They'll catch up. Okay, so today's sessions is going to be mostly introductory. So we'll give you an overview of what lies ahead for you once you clear your CA, and what are the options available, and we'll deep dive into finance as a field broadly. Uh, what are the subfields there? What are the tricks of the trade? And we'll touch upon key skill sets that will help you in finance, and also what kind of work you can expect working there. And let's just keep it more interactive. Would be helpful. Say if you have any doubts, you can unmute yourself and ask us in between. You can interrupt us. That is not an issue. Okay. Otherwise, they will also have time at the end of the session where you can ask your questions. So feel free to interrupt us anytime you can. So one thing that we have seen with people is they get very much cling to their degree. So once you clear your CA, you start realizing or accepting the fact that क्योंकि मैं CA हूँ, I'll just do the typical fields that CA are supposed to work in, which is more like a crutch for you. So you mostly people will say try to get into auditing, accounting, taxation, and not explore anything beyond that. And that is where the gap really is with people. तो लोगों को लगता है कि यार मैंने ये सीख लिया, I've tried this, I've worked in a say articleship firm for 3 years, I've learned about it for 5 years, so let me just do this one topic for the next 50 years of my life. So that is where the gap lies with people. They You don't try to explore things, or uh, let's take an analogy of an egg. So if you think of an egg, the shell that is there, that denotes your identity, your perks, your salary expectations, or what people think of you, like of you. but the real value of an egg lies in the yolk. That is what you want to be. That is what you really want to become. Say 10 years, 20 years down the line. So you will have to shed that shell of yours and focus more on what you yourself as a person want to be, not really what others expect you to be. So मतलब typically लोग सीए क्लियर करते हैं, दे आर लाइक यार 10 लाख की पैकेज लग जाएगी, 15 लाख की पैकेज लग जाएगी, तो लाइफ सेट है, या बिग फोर में ऑडिटिंग मिल जाएगा तो लाइफ सेट है. सो दैट इज what यू विल एक्सपेक्ट. But we are trying to go much beyond that. We are trying to tell you that if you take that path, will you really be happy 5 years down the line, or would you have wasted that 2 3 years in realizing this is not your true calling. So it's better to have that realization now rather than maybe 3 years 4 years down the line, because we have seen people wasting their time. And it's always better to explore it now rather than later. We'll give you examples, real life examples of people from our batches, our friends who took the wrong step, and they have to uh, maybe bite the bullet now. So you will get a filler of that. But there are broadly two kinds of people that we meet. Two kind of CA aspirants or CAs. One is someone who never had a dream, never had a passion, कि किसी ने बोल दिया कि सीए कर लो तो कर लो, ठीक है. दैट इज अ वेरी लार्ज ऑडियंस दैट यूल गेट. यू वुड हैव ऑलरेडी सीन दैट अमॉन्ग योर पीयर ग्रुप्स कि किसी ने डाल दिया सीए में तो कर लो. और सेकंड सबसेट होता है ऐसे लोग जिन्होंने कुछ किया है, मे बी 3 साल ऑडिटिंग कर लिया या 3 साल में भी टैक्सेशन कर लिया. तो एंड दे वर रियली गुड एट दैट, एंड दे स्टार्ट फीलिंग दैट कि दिस इज माई कॉलिंग बिकॉज आई एम really good at this. I can do this for the rest of my life. I don't need to do anything else. This is my passion. So both are not. I will not say that there is something right or wrong in that, but uh, but there you can explore yourself better than this. You can explore other opportunities. Ajit, is there a background? Are you able to hear?
Yeah, there was some background noise. I think it is clear now.
Okay, okay.
Yeah.
So the point I'm trying to make is क्या होता है फिर 2 साल या 3 years down the line, when they have worked in that specific field, they start to realize कि this was not my calling. ठीक है. Passion per se is very overstated. I'll not say कि तुम अपना passion discover करो और फिर take a plunge into that thing. But there's no harm in exploring things. There is no harm in trying out something different. If you have say spent 3 years in something else, you don't have to basically continue that for the next 30 years of your life. ठीक है. Ajit, why don't you tell about yourself?
Yeah. So here we are introducing ourselves, the panel of mentors that we have. So I am Ajit over here. So broadly, I have close to 3 years of work in the finance field. I have worked in an buy side equity research fund at Ambit Capital, where we managed close to 1,000 crore of AUM, and we invested that into listed equity markets. We will discuss that in detail in the next slides. But yeah, Amit.
Yeah, and I am also a chartered accountant. But after doing CA, I realized this was not something I wanted to be. So I went on to do my MBA from IIM Calcutta. After that, I worked for 2 years in a private equity fund, investing in private markets in India. And I also have a large passion in mentoring people. So over the last 4 to 5 years, I've mentored more than 1,000 people directly in various fields.
And finally, we have Vivek with us. So unfortunately, he was not able to join today, but he has close to 2 years of work ex in the FDD field, and prior to that, he has worked for 3 years in audit. So he is our in-house expert in terms of FDD and related stuffs. And
Yeah.
along with all this, we also have other experts who will be joining in the next sessions, and they will take on specific things, like let's say if you want to move into different career paths, like let's say UPSC or actuaries and all, or let's say if you want to start your own CA firm and all that thing.
Yeah. So, just one word of caution here. Whenever you are deciding on your career, it's a very, very sensitive point for you. It's a very, very important decision of your life. Never ever rely on one specific person or a few set of person. ठीक है? Never rely on what I say. Never rely on what Ajit say. ठीक है? Always you should take a view of a panel of people, people who have actually done that. ठीक है? For example, never ask from me कि say for example due diligence में घुसना चाहिए कि नहीं घुसना चाहिए, यूपीएससी करना चाहिए कि नहीं करना चाहिए, बिकॉज आई एम नॉट द राइट पर्सन. ठीक है? यू कैन आस्क मी एमबीए करना चाहिए कि नहीं करना चाहिए. ठीक है? सो ऑलवेज बी कॉग्निजेंट ऑफ द फैक्ट दैट देयर विल बी a lot of people who will give you a lot of advice. ठीक है? Even I'll give you some advice on certain fields that I have not. So it's your role to decide on what to take and what not to take, and it's up to you to decide your career path. Ajit, Ajit, are you there? So this is basically a metrics on how to set your priorities. So uh, here obviously most of you will think if pay should be your first priority. ठीक है? Which is kind of obvious and makes a lot of common sense to think यार जहाँ भी अच्छा salary package मिले ले लो. But that is not really what it should be. Pay should be a criteria, but should be maybe the second or third priority of yours. Or if you have to look at pay, don't look at your pay currently. Look at what you will be making 4 years or 5 years down the line. ठीक है? Never look at कि आज मुझे कंपनी इतना दे रही है या आज ये फील्ड में मेरे को ये मिलेगा, so I should choose this field. Think of what 5 years down the line what you'll be earning from that particular field itself. ठीक है? Which is difficult to quantify, difficult to take stock of. So which is why most people always take an easier path and they think यार अगर ये कंपनी 20 लाख दे रही है तो I'll choose this company. I'll not calculate कि मैं 5 साल बाद क्या बना रहा हूँ इस कंपनी में. ठीक है? But pay should be your second or third criteria. First should be your nature of work always. कि what kind of work you are doing, and there will touch upon transferable skills that you are learning. ठीक है? Say for example you work in internal audit for 2 to 3 years, you will not be learning much. Like तुम वहाँ पे कुछ भी नहीं सीख रहे होगे. That will be transferable in terms of you can apply that to any other field that you want to shift. ठीक है? So quantifying that or analyzing that in itself is very important. ठीक है? You'll get feelers of this when we go across. This is a bit theoretical, but हाँ, nature of work should be your topmost priority. Brand should be second if you're starting your work. मतलब it's always good to start in a branded form where you get more exposure than non-branded one. But nature of work should be your first priority. After that comes your brand coming in. Third would be maybe pay, and there will be always be a comfort factor that you'll be looking at, which will be very personal to you कि मुझे यही city में रहना है. But our suggestion would be to let go of this comfort factor at least at the initial stage of your career. मतलब
Amit,
30.
there is still some disturbance at your end, I think, with the earphone.
Okay, so it's better now.
No, no, no.
Why don't you take this? Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So basically, in most of the roles that you will get post your CA, you will face trade-off between all of these. Let's say कोई role मिलता है where the pay will be higher, but the kind of work that you will be getting will not be so good. Let's say कोई accounting का job मिल रहा है and they pay you close to 18 lakhs for that. So you need to make a trade-off between that. Pay चाहिए and the nature of work that you have. Or let's say you have an excellent work-life balance over there, but they don't pay you well. So you need to prioritize over this. So uh, set a priority. So personally, I would say nature of work is what should be given the utmost priority, because that will define your future career path. Maybe a 1 lakh salary mil raha hai, but you don't learn much, but that is not going to benefit you 2-3 years down the line. So we will discuss example of few of our friends who did that same thing. They went on to take up roles that were well paying, that were good in terms of comfort levels, but ultimately they regretted, and they ultimately switched path. So so in most of the job, I would say 99% of the job, you have to make that trade off. You won't get the perfect sort of job that you are looking out. कि nature of work भी अच्छा रहेगा as per your passion and all. Work life balance will be there, they will be paying you well, it will be from a good brand. Okay. So I have heard lots and lots of example where you go out for a very good brand, let's say a brand like ITC, brand like JP Morgan, brand like Goldman Sachs. Ultimately you end up regretting. So that is why I told nature of work should be given the utmost priority. But there are things that you don't can't control of. Let's say you are based out of Kolkata and you need a job out of Kolkata. So there are something around comfort level that you just can't sacrifice. Let's say you need a job with a very good work life balance. So this thing so basically prioritize your stuff. The thing that you need should be given the utmost priority, and be open with stuffs that you can control. Like let's say if you are okay with moving out of Kolkata, then start applying for jobs in Bombay, start applying jobs in Delhi and all. So that multiplies your probability of getting a good job, getting a job with good pay and good nature of work. So this is the first thing that you need to do. It is easier said than done, but you have to start somewhere. Yeah. So coming to the various career opportunities for CA, so we will discuss this all these stuffs in detail in the subsequent workshops and all. But to give just a flavor, uh, the 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 typical contemporary job for a CA is either auditing or taxation. But nowadays, guys have started moving more into finance. The inclination towards finance has increased, and so is the competition for finance, because everyone out there wants to move into this finance profiles. Also you get various roles in corporates, but that is also around taxation and auditing, more or less in most of the cases. Also you have this not so typical thing of, let's say, starting out your own practice, or looking out for higher education, maybe an UPSC or MBA. So we will discuss this one this all these topics in detail in the subsequent slides and subsequent workshop. But today we are just going to discuss on finance. Yeah. So these were the few of the examples that we were speaking of earlier. So let's say in the first instance, I have a friend who initially took up a role at ITC. It was a very well paying job. He used to get close to 18 to 20 lakhs. uh, if I give you a broad salary range for a fresher, it will be close to 8 to 10 lakhs. Will be decent enough if you are a fresher. Anything above 15 is very good for you, and he was getting close to 18 to 20 lakhs at ITC. But later on he realized also the brand name of ITC is quite well known. So and also there was some sort of work life balance out there. But later on he realized the nature of work he was doing was not very good. It was very basic. He was just going on to do accounting entries and all. So after working for 2 years at ITC, he realized that he wants to switch into an profile or a nature of job that is of his liking. So he moved into a small equity research firm called Multi-Act, where he was working on equity research work. But there also, after 6 to 8 months, he realized he was working on a sort of thing, and he has started preparing for UPSC. So this is one example. One more example is of a friend who started his own CA firm. it didn't work out for him. So he joined Deloitte in a forensic counsel. Later he realized that this kind of work is not very interesting, and then now he's working in corporate taxation in Power Grid. So there are hundreds and hundreds of such examples. So let's say the third example is very interesting. So this was a friend who worked in M&A tax in a mid-sized firm at DSC, Desai Haribhakti. Then he got an offer from Barclays product control role. So Barclays, because it is an MNC brand and the pay was quite good, he joined Barclays without giving a thought, giving a second thought. But 1 year down the line, he started to realize that he had just wasted his 1 year out there, because the learning was very limited. It was just about brand name and work life balance, nothing beyond that. And then after that he switched to KPMG at the due diligence profile. So this profile is very challenging. The work life balance is sort of non-existent. It is difficult to get in, but the nature of work is such that you will like the work. So that made him to switch into KPMG.
फन
So
फैक्ट देयर कि
the thing.
मैं उसे या फन फैक्ट देयर इज कि मैं उसे अभी पूछूं कि प्रोडक्ट कंट्रोल में होता क्या है, ही हैज नो क्लू आफ्टर वर्किंग फॉर अ ईयर कि वहां पे काम क्या करते हैं या उसने सीखा क्या आज तक.
The main thing that we want to highlight over here is that ultimately it's the nature of work that will prevail, no matter where you are or what is your liking or what is your conditions and all. So that is what you should try to keep at your topmost priority. So let's say the second guy who started his own CA firm, he was very much inclined to stay in Kolkata, and so he took up this Deloitte roles in forensic accounting. But later he realized that this role is not of his liking, and also he cannot get a very good role out in Kolkata. So he had to subsequently shift or to remove that precondition, and he shifted to Delhi after that. He's working in Power Grid. So there will be hundreds and hundreds of similar phenomena that you will come across subsequently in your life, but we just wanted to highlight this. And so let's say 1 year 2 years down the line you don't make the same sort of mistake. So it is okay to make mistake, but these are the kind of avoidable thing, this kind of mistakes you can avoid, and so it will help you say one or two. Yeah, Amit, nextly.
Yeah, so I think Divya is asking a question कि why do companies pay such a high amount for such basic kind of work, like say example ITC is a good example there, or maybe a Goldman Sachs, that is also a very good example.
So very interesting question. So the thing is for an ITC it is not very difficult to pay, because they are one of the highest profit making company in India. So for them to pay 15 to 18 lakhs is not going to burn their PN, profit and loss statement at all. And what they do is that there are a lot of conditions over there. So let's say if you join ITC, uh, your initial pay will be close to 15 to 18 lakhs, but they won't give you promotion after till 3 years. So that is one catch over there. So you won't get hike in salary. So if you work in a small or let's say mid-sized CA firm, you will start with 8 to 10 lakh salary, and after 3 4 years, with let's say two promotion, you can get 15 to 18 lakhs. But at an ITC, your initial pay will be 15 to 18 lakhs, and after 3 4 years, it will be the same. It is very less likely that you will get a promotion or a pay hike at ITC.
Also those guys want to keep their attrition rates low, so they know if someone joins at a say 20 lakh salary, that guy will not leave for 3 years or 4 years, and they'll have not have to hire another person in his a replacement in his place. Also after working for 3 years 4 years in internal audit, it becomes really difficult to switch your career post that. Like you will never want to switch yourself, तो आदमी फंस जाता है घुसने के बाद.
So the
Yeah.
same happened with my friend. Like he was at ITC, he was getting close to 18 lakhs, but when he wanted to switch, he was not able to find any roles that were willing to pay him in at least 15 lakhs and all. So he ended up
Yeah.
at multi at around 8 lakhs. So that was a huge cut, straight from 18 lakhs to 8 lakhs. Also coming to a place like Barclays. So Barclays is an MNC bank. So it is kind of a body shopping sort of thing. So they outsource a lot of stuff to India, and you will be working in some of the stuff. So for them, paying let's say 12 13 lakhs is not a very big deal, because they are, let's say, trading off between an US employee to an Indian employee. So 12 13 lakhs is just a drop in the ocean for them.
And the idea here is not to say कि यार ITC is a bad place to work or Barclays is a bad place to work. Idea is that you should be aware of what you're getting into. मतलब एटलीस्ट आईटीसी जाने से पहले उसे पता होता है कि वो he'll be getting into a place where he has to work for 3 to 4 years, and then and he has to work there for his life as an internal auditor. At least if he had that realization or awareness, वो नहीं घुसता. But say there are other friends of mine who are in ITC and they are quite happy with the pay, because उनका pay was the first priority. ऐसा नहीं है कि बार्कलेस में भी लाइक तुम चले गए तो it would be end of your life.
So yeah, basically the thing is, if you just set your priority right. So let's say if you join Barclays in the product control role, and you had this priority of pay and work life balance, so you will do well in Barclays for 5 10 years. That is not going to be a problem for you. But let's say after 2 years you realize that the kind of work that you wanted is not what you are getting at Barclays. Then you will get into trouble. Then you have to make a switch.
Yeah,
That
मतलब
is where the issue comes in.
your decisions should be an informed decision. Say for instance, like we ourselves face this challenge. मतलब when I was going to do my MBA, I had no clue what a post MBA life would be like, or like I did not do a pros and cons between say doing an MBA from this school versus that school. I just got lucky that I got into a good college. But there are people who don't get so lucky, or there are people who don't get that guidance. So we ourselves wanted to create a platform where people can get informed decisions and choose their career path instead of career paths choosing them. So you can choose कि मुझे यहाँ जाना है कि वहाँ जाना है, instead of like just relying on serendipity to make it work for you.
So let's say if we discuss the last example, the guy, he was working at Amit, the previous slide. The guy was working at HPCL. He was in an account officer role. So if you get a chance, obviously you will be appearing for the CA campus. So you will see the craze behind this PSU OMCs, HPCL and BPCL of the world. So guys are crazy to get a role out there. But when you join, is after you join, you will realize the kind of work that you get. So this guy, he was working at HBCL in an account officer role. The work was nothing fancy, but they were paying well. The brand is good and all. But after a year or so, he realized that this is not the kind of work he wants to do. The same sort of story. And now he has left it, his 15 lakhs pay job, to work as an intern at an equity research firm. And trust me, he's liking the work as an intern. He's not being paid well, but he will any day trade off an ambit with an HPCL sort of role. So he just got this role at CA campus, and he didn't make this decision कि trade off क्या होना चाहिए, and just as because it was a craze to join HPCL, he joined it. So उसका basically 1 साल 2 साल waste है. So also just a disclaimer, it is not you are not doing a very bad thing by switching careers. Let's say if you have made an informed decision. So let's say initially you thought कि you want to start your own CA firm, but that was an informed decision that you took, and after 2 years you realized कि CA firm नहीं हो पाएगा मुझसे. That is okay, that is completely okay. But let's say when you started off your CA firm, you had a different mindset कि चलो पैसा ज्यादा कमाएंगे, or I will get to work at my own town and all. And so you need to decide that thing, the driving factors that has led to you starting this thing or to joining an XYZ role. Yeah, next.
Yeah, Ajit, one interesting question that Somdamini is asking, would you suggest someone to keep looking for their interested profile, or to settle for something that is not so interesting, but that is something that they have in their hand?
Yeah, interesting question. So you should never settle. In fact, I have done the same thing. So initially, when I passed out of CA, I had this finance ka kida, and I just wanted to work in a finance sort of role. So I started. I kept on looking for a finance role. It took me around 6 months of looking, and ultimately I got one. So don't just settle for an audit role or taxation role because you are not getting a role out there. Try it, but if you don't get, then you can, let's say, settle for a role that is not you're liking for 6 months, 8 months, or 12 months, and subsequently look for, let's say, your the role that you are passionate about.
Yeah. Any more questions? Yeah. So regarding profiles or work or other skill set required in the other areas, say doing a higher study or working in corporates or maybe starting up, we'll cover that in subsequent sessions. Today we are going to cover a part of finance.
So contrary to what anyone could expect, the finance field is very broad. You will have 10 to 15 different types of roles that you can target to in finance. So the typical one everyone might have heard, the investment banking, private equities of the world. But sorry to say, it is very difficult to get an investment banking or private equity roles, at least in your first job as a fresher. So obviously you can try targeting other roles, and after a year or so you can try moving to this coveted profiles, or let's say buy side roles in a private equity fund, or in an investment banking job. So in the left side, that you will see, these are the core finance roles where you will be doing some sort of research. In the right side, these are quasi finance role. We won't call it finance because you won't be doing any sort of research over here. Let's say if we start with product control. So the typical job for a guy working there will be, let's say, he will be assisting the US office. Let's say you are working at Barclays, so you will be assisting a trader in a US office. So let's say the trader in a US office, he made some trades today. He bought some stocks, he sold some stocks, and at the end of the day, he needs to tally कि profit कितना बना है, loss कितना बना है. So you will be sitting in India, and you will be doing that profit and loss accounting for that guy in India to tally कि जो final profit and loss उसने बनाया, उसके components क्या हैं, where it from a short trade that he did, or where it from a long trade or a buy or a sell decision that he took, either in forex or either in stocks. So you just need to do that PL entry. You are not doing any sort of research. You are not studying any business model of the company. You are not analyzing the sector. You are not preparing reports. You are just doing profit and loss accounting. That is the stuff. And and also, as you are working in a backend profile, or a middle office role for the US entity, you will be handling a lots of systems and procedure. So यहाँ से डेटा निकाल के वो कौन सा सिस्टम में डालना है, वो सिस्टम पे से आउटपुट आएगा, then you have to change the format in Excel and then put it. So it becomes a lot of manual intervention over here, and you won't be doing any sort of research in that profile. And in most cases, you are going to regret the kind of work that you are getting. Same goes for a fund accounting sort of role, or a legal entity control. But let's say if you're working on the left side, the roles in the left side, if we have to categorize, so the bottom ones are the easier to get into, and it becomes tougher if you want to move to the top profile. So getting into branch banking at an ICICI bank, is much more easier than, let's say, getting an equity research profile at an tier one equity research firm. So if we have to explain one role, let's say if we discuss about trade research. So what happens in trade research is that uh, an entity will come to you. Let's say you're working at Crisil, and a company wants to raise funds from bank. He will come to Crisil, and he will say he will ask Crisil to do a credit rating of the company. So now you will be working on the crediting of the company. So so to get to a particular rating, let's say triple A or double A or double B minus, first you need to analyze the company, analyze the sector in which the company is working, analyze the financials of the company, whether it is in good health, whether the you have to look at various ratios. Let's say debt service coverage ratio, your leverage ratio, the profit margins the company is getting, the kind of growth that the company and the sector is going to see. You have to analyze all these sort of factors, and ultimately you have to give a rating. uh, let's say double, if you like the company, you will give a triple A rating. If you don't like the company, and you see there are a lot of headwinds coming in future, you will, let's say, give a low rating of double B or triple B minus. So here you get that sort of research. You are researching on a company, you are researching on a sector, you are analyzing something, and you are learning some transferable skill. So let's say यहाँ पे जो skill तुमने सीखा है, you can apply that to other places. But if you're working in a product control profile, you are not going to get that sort of transferable skill. The profit and loss accounting that you learn at product control won't be helpful at other places. But once you know how to research a company, how to analyze a company, how to study the balance sheet of a company and profit and loss statement of a company, you can apply that to any other place you go. So that is what we mean by saying research, the research work you are doing. So whenever you are planning to move into a finance role, always look at what kind of research that you are trying to get, the kind of transferable skill that you are getting. Yeah. And let's say when you move one notch higher in the ladder, let's say you worked in a credit rating profile for 1 year, and you got at a buy side fund. So I am working at a buy side fund at Ambit Capital. So here what you do is that the kind of actionable stuff that you do, it increases manifold. Let's say when you are doing a credit rating, you're just giving out a report that boss, you give out loan to this company at 10% rate, or at higher rate or lower rate. But let's say when you have your own fund fund that you have collected from other investors, you will first analyze the company uh, by doing this research stuff. And once you like the company, you'll be investing your own funds. Let's say आज मेरे को PVR अच्छा लग रहा है, because the kind of company that it is now, and the environment that is currently it is in, I like that. So once I like the company, I will just invest X amount of funds. So let's say I invest 50 crores into PVR. So I'm doing something actionable over there. कि PVR में invest कर रहा हूँ, and after 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, once the actions or once my rational play out, I will exit out of PVR. So
Yeah, so the idea here is not to say get bogged down by the profile. So that can be a second level thing. Like each profile has its own nuances, and each profile would have its own transferable skills that you'll be learning there. ठीक है. But at least you should be aware कि ये सारे profiles exist करते हैं finance में. We will deep dive on some of them, and some of them you can park it for later. मतलब whenever you get a choice or opportunity to work in something or interview for some roles, at that time you can then come back to us and ask us कि how is this profile like, क्या होगा उसमें. So that you can do. But idea is कि there are some quasi finance profiles that you should stay away from. Say product control, legal entity control, trading roles, fund accounting. These are not finance profile. They are more like an auditing profile or an accounting profile, but there is no analytical work that you'll be doing. There'll be no transferable skills that you'll be learning there. ठीक है. Ajit, why don't you take them through this ecosystem? This will give them them an idea.
Yeah, sure. So let's say we take the example of PVR, and we will just discuss the entire finance ecosystem around PVR, and this will give you an idea about the kind of roles that you can target being into core finance. So one thing that we discussed is, let's say from an equity investor point of view, that PVR is listed in the market, and I am very much bullish on PVR. So I will just invest XYZ fund after doing some research on PVR. That is where an equity research analyst comes into picture. Let's say PVR as a company, they want to raise money, because they want to increase the debt level, and they want to raise money from other banks. So banks typically, they don't have the bandwidth to analyze PVR. What they will do is that they will ask PVR to go to a credit rating agency. So let's say PVR goes to CRISIL, and then CRISIL will analyze PVR, and they will give their own rating on PVR. And this is where a credit research analyst comes into picture. Uh, let's say one more live example will be, if PVR wants to acquire a smaller multiplex out there. So what PVR will do is PVR is not a expert in acquiring multiplexes. So they will go to an investment banker, and they will ask the banker to find out target companies that PVR can acquire. And now investment banker will go out in the market. They will place the bids, and they will use their own network and all to find out suitable target companies. They will negotiate the deal structure, कि कितने multiplex के स्क्रीन खरीदना है, what will be the valuation at which PVR will buy that target company, what is the business model of the target company, XYZ. So basically, investment banker job is to work as a middleman between the the acquirer and the target company. So that is where an investment banker comes into picture. uh, One more thing, let's say uh, um, uh, a very big institutional investor, let's say private equity fund, wants to buy out a stake in PVR, a very large stake in PVR. So that is when a private equity comes into picture, and you will be working in a private equity fund, and it will be your work to identify a company like PVR, to research upon PVR, to meet the top level management of PVR, to discuss about how the company is doing, what is the sector trends looking like and all. So that is when a private equity guy comes into picture, when they want to buy a very huge or large stake in a listed or unlisted company. In most cases, it is an unlisted company. So that is the role of a private equity investor. uh, Coming to relationship manager. So let's say uh, uh, I am an HNI individual. I am a CXO of an XYZ company, and to manage my wealth, I have hired a relationship manager. So let's say Edelweiss mein someone is working as a RM, and I have hired him to look after my wealth. So that relationship manager will guide me. Let's say you invest 20% of your funds into gold, 30% into bonds, because that is less risky, and 50% into equities, because the currently the valuations are very low. That is where a relationship manager comes into picture. We will be giving snapshots and articles on all of these individual core finance fields over the next week. We don't want to discuss that over here, because it will become too much of data over here, and it will be very difficult for all of you to comprehend that data. So subsequently we'll be circulating articles, also the firms that you can target into as a CF fresher, which are the kind of roles that are gettable, which are very difficult to get, what are the skill set required. So let's say if you are targeting an investment banking role, sorry to say, it is very difficult to get into a core or front end investment banking role as a CF fresher. They typically don't hire. They hire from big schools like, let's say, I am Ahmedabad, Bangalore, and Kolkata. but they do hire, but that is hire CA fresher, but that too is limited to CA rankers. Or let's say if you are able to use your network and crack an interview at an investment banking firm. So it is rare, but it is possible. So we'll be discussing all that thing through our blogs and articles that we will share in the group subsequently.
Yeah, so this should at least give you a broad idea, a 30,000 feet view कि होता क्या है इस काम के अंदर, कि इन्वेस्टमेंट बैंकर करता क्या है या क्रेडिट एनालिस्ट करता क्या है. More beyond this also there is a lot of information available, and say we have a panel of mentors in each field कि later on अगर कभी भी कुछ काम आएगा, say if you want to prepare for any field, they will be there कुछ कोई भी help के लिए. And this will be mostly helpful say once you appear for your interviews, or once you are say actively looking out for a role in that particular field, कि prepare क्या करना है उसके लिए, what are the kind of forms that you can apply for, uh, and then what would be your career trajectory look like. So starting from deciding your career path to making it achievable. So we'll be there at all the stages.
So coming to few of the skills so we just don't want to keep the session informative. We have just added few things on research and the skills that or the kind of work that you do in a core finance field. So the most important thing that you will be doing is understanding the business model. So धंधा कैसे चलता है, what are the main key drivers of the business, how are the like how many factors are impacting the business. So this is the most important thing that you will be doing in a finance profile, and this is different from your audit or taxation profile, because audit taxation they are very much procedure driven. You are given an XYZ set of rules, and you have to see ki the current procedure that is used by the client is as per that rules or not, as per the guidelines or not. But if you are working in a core finance field, you will get that opportunity to analyze the company at a different level. So you will just start from the unit economics level. So let's say if I am producing one article, uska cost kitna padta hai, what is the revenue that I am generating, which are the customers that I am selling it, what are the supplies that I am through which I am getting my raw materials, what is the business environment looking like. So you will get an opportunity to analyze a business from that point of view, and it becomes very much interesting if you get all these things. So let's say if you are analyzing a manufacturing company. So let's say you are analyzing Asian Paints, which is the largest paints manufacturer in India. So you will just break that company into different parts. So from a numbers perspective, you can look at how are the sales going to be. So sales basically क्या होता है? Sales will be from the quantity of paints or the liter of paints that you sell into the price at which you are selling. So let's say I can increase my sales by either by increasing the quantity that I sell, increasing the volume, or either by increasing or taking a price hike. That is how my sales will be driven. And coming to the major cost factor when I'm running a paints company, will be the most important factor will be the raw material cost. Then I'll be having labors in my manufacturing plant. I will be doing some advertisement spends because I want to make the Asian Paints brand the recall value. I have to increase the recall value of the Asian Paints brand. And ultimately, in terms of these are in terms of variable cost. Coming to the fixed cost, the major fixed cost will be capex for me. Every year, when my capacity utilization reach and maximum level, I have to do capex so that I can service future demand. So this is just a brief example of what are the factors that you will look. So let's say when you are analyzing a service company. So I think Amit, we can move to next slide on PVR. What are the
Yeah,
main factors?
Ajit, before that, a question here for the participants. So everyone would have had an exposure in audit or a taxation firm. So can anyone tell me what is the business model like for say a taxation firm or any CA firm? What are the major cost item and what are the major revenue items? Like, feel free to unmute yourself and contribute.
Cost, we can assume it to be the salary of the numerous chartered accountants that are in an audit firm.
Okay.
The traveling conveyance, etc., which is generally the trainees charge heavily,
Hmm.
and the revenue, obviously, the consultancy fees we generate from the auditing of
Yeah. Any other revenue source, or maybe any other cost item, any major cost item that you can think of?
Hi Amit, this is Zufar here.
Yeah. Hi.
Yeah, particularly the major cost the CA firms also have is the infrastructure they provide to provide these services. The lab, you can say the basic or workspace to the IT infrastructure that they provide to give the clients a particular set of services. This is one of the major costs that I think might be in the business model.
Hmm. Now here just a counter question. Suppose if you have to project that revenue going forward for the next 3 years, कि तुम्हारा particular CA firm कितना revenue बनाएगा? How would you do that?
Um, Probably the CA firm would like to project the number of clients that it currently has and how much it will sustain them, how many new clients that it might like to add, and what is the average revenue that the each client gives to the particular firm. So these are
Hmm.
particular parameters that they might consider while projecting the revenue.
Hmm. Got it. Other parameters?
Uh, this is the least that I can think of right now.
Can I
Anyone
add?
else? What? Yeah, please.
I think CA firms are subject to rotation of clients, so they will take that also in account that in next year or in 2 to 3 years, what are the average number of clients they will be having subject to auditor rotation. And in cost, I
Mhm.
think the rent of various offices is a major cost, I believe.
Rent is there, obviously.
And I just want to ask if we are considering the revenue of a, for example, of a firm in general, which has global presence. So, will we consider the revenue from their back end offices in India also as their revenue stream?
Yeah, sure. Maybe then you look at outsourcing services that this company will be providing
Yes,
any other firm. So that will be
yes,
another revenue stream that would be modeled separately.
yes,
All this client wise, and they within client also you will have your own nuances. कि there'll be some clients which would be recurring, कुछ services recurring होंगे. मान लो indirect tax के services recurring होंगे, auditing के recurring होंगे. But there will be
yes,
litigation services that will be not recurring. तो वो टारगेट
sure,
बेस्ड होगा, पार्टनर के ऊपर डिपेंड करेगा कि वो पार्टनर कितना लेके आता है.
yes,
हाँ.
yes. Okay.
Interesting. So this is how you'll think of when you are thinking of a business model for any other field of companies. Like as you talk about paints as a sector. Similarly, we'll talk about PVR and other services company. उसमें कैसे करोगे?
Yeah. So coming to the interesting stuff, now almost all of you might have gone to PVR, might have attended movie shows. Not during COVID. Prior to that, uh, So now coming to the same question, like what do you think are the main revenue driver for multiplex? Let's say if we talk about PVR, what are the key revenue sources for them? Starting from the main one and coming down to the other 2-3 sources that they can have.
Hi, Tushar here. So I feel first one would be by way of the tickets, sale of revenue from tickets. Second, I think it would be from advertisement, which are in between shows, and also from the hoardings and everything which they have inside their premises. And I think the third would be from the food and beverages which they operate. And think this would be all right for from revenue sources. Thank you.
There is one more revenue. Not sure if anyone can guess that.
Uh, Hi again.
Yeah.
Probably these guys, multiplexes that run all over, like domestically or like nationally. So they also offer membership services to their viewers. So they keep on bringing viewers again and again to the same multiplex. They offer particular membership services, which in turn offer tickets at cheap. So they increase the number of times that a particular viewer comes to the theater. That might also be an ancillary revenue stream.
Okay.
Hmm. Fair enough.
Fair enough. But I guess that will be more of a cost item. So we are looking for one revenue items, one more additional revenue stream. Think about the moment when you have tried to book a ticket and what are the charges that the multiplex will levy.
I think you are talking about convenience fee. Is that so?
Right. Yeah.
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 Yeah, so all these
So
Book My Show and Paytm charge your convenience fees. 50% of that goes to PVR or announce. 50% is pocketed by the Paytm and Book My Shows of the world. Yeah.
yeah. So now we have understood that there are 4 different revenue stream for PVR. Now, any guesses on which of these 4 will be the most profitable one, and which will be the least profitable ones?
In terms of percentage margin,
Hmm.
कि मेरे को कॉस्ट क्या लगता है वो बनाने में और मैं कितना उसमें कमा लेता हूँ.
Food and beverages would be the highest.
Okay, highest margin, right?
Yes, of course.
Okay.
And then I think the last one, second last would be from the screening of movies, and the and the second most revenue generating would be from the convenience fee.
Okay.
Hmm.
I think your answer was more driven by
What
your
about
sentiment.
advertisements?
I was telling ki his answer was more driven by sentiments.
Yeah. And for advertisement, I think I missed that one. It should be. I think that would come around the third one.
So just don't think about it. Like think about the cost that a company will incur. So whenever PVR is offering your F&B, what is the cost that they will incur when they are offering convenience service, like the ticketing service? What will the cost that they will incur? And in ad spend, what will the cost that they incur? And now from that perspective, you think like, so F&B mein to at least you are incurring that cost of popcorns, cost of staff, etc., etc. But let's say when I talk about convenience fees, so उसमें cost क्या है? The cost is almost nil. Like
Yes.
it is just the cost of software,
Yeah,
and that too is incurred by Paytm or BookMyShow. PVR is not going to incur anything.
absolutely.
Yeah. So that's one way of looking at it.
Yeah, that way the convenience fee would be at the top.
Right. Yeah. And after convenience fees, there will be your advertisement income. So when you are doing an ad income by displaying this ads during the break, you are not going to incur any cost. जो ad या फिर जो digital spends है on creating the ad, it is by the customer. It is not by PVR. PVR is just going to showcase it. So जो nominal cost रखता है, your electricity and all cost, that is the only cost that they will incur. So it is ultimately going to flow directly to your profit and loss. Yeah. And coming to, yeah, you rightly guessed that that ticket price is a least margin generator for them. So they are basically going to incur a loss in the ticket price. So let's say, assuming you are going to make the other source of revenue zero, मतलब popcorns वगैरह का revenue zero हो जाता है, या they are going to give it out free, etc. There is no ads between or breaks between the movies, or let's say the convenience charges are null. In that case, PVR is going to make a loss. So that shows that your average ticket price, that the price at which you are selling ticket, you are incurring a loss on that. So one question is, why do PVR sell this ticket at a loss? मतलब उनको पता है कि वो लोग loss बनाने वाले हैं. So why to sell out tickets at 150 rupees or 200 rupees?
One reason probably might be because they know that if a person is coming to for viewing their shows, then he or she might most probably would not be having firstly he would not be having access to any outside food, and secondly if he's there for 3 hours, then there's some background noise.
Yeah, sure, go on.
So he would definitely be feeling hungry and would visit the counter for eating something, and that is probably a 70 to 80% that he would be buying something from their premises.
Right. So let's say now you have established the fact कि ticket price में they are incurring a loss. F&B is one of the highest margin generator for them, and let's say we are talking about the era of 2016 2017, when internet penetration was not so high in India. So convenience fees were sort of non-existent for PVR. And now you come across this news that government is trying to, or there is a petition signed in the court that is asking multiplexes not to charge higher fees for F&B offerings. So the popcorns that you sell at 150 rupees will be sold at cost. So you won't be earning super normal profits on F&B. Now, what do you think? Will PVR die out because tickets so loss pe bik rahe? Will the multiplex industry survive? What do you think? What will be your opinion during that time? So will you buy the stock, the PVR ka stock that is listed in NSE during that, after that news?
I think the main problem lies here in that they are charging more than what should be charged, right? So if the prices are being brought down to a normalized level, then surely more people would be opting in to buy from them, versus the situation which was there, that most people be avoiding it due to it being expensive. And secondly, I think this would not be this might not actually take place, because ultimately they would lobby the government to make some kind of a loophole so that the industry does not die out.
Okay, so just assume that they are not able to lobby. In Maharashtra has already declared that you have to sell your F&B at cost. You are not earning any profit out of it, and that is going to be a ruling all out in India. So just assume that fact. Now, are you going to invest into PVR? Now, what do you think, the business model will survive or not?
Eventually, I think going by this, it would eventually die out, not in the near future, but say maybe 15 years, if they do not find an alternative revenue source which is profitable enough to keep them going.
Okay, fair enough. Any other guesses? Any other reasoning or logic around it? Any other one? Any one of you want to try?
I like to beg to differ on this fact. मुझे लगता है क्या PVR is not in the business of selling F&B. Is there ancillary revenue? The primary revenue will always be ticketing. So that is a source that they'll pull in people, and they might find any ancillary revenue that they'll generate on. Or probably PVR उसका इतना national footprint होने की वजह से small partners might die out in these things, but in the long run it would have a much bigger footprint. So I would rather buy that stock when this news comes out, because all the other market participants would have a negative opinion on that, and that's when the valuations might be cheaper. So I would like to buy the stock. That's my take.
Fair enough. Fair enough. So I'll just play devil advocates over here on 2 points. Firstly, is that you are telling that PVR ka core income is harvest is by selling tickets. So you are saying that they will keep on making losses by selling tickets, and eventually they are going to survive. So that is one point. Second point is the smaller multiplex guys are going to die out. But the thing is, if you go to a small multiplex chain, you are not going to find F&B offerings over there. Currently, F&B contribution for them is very, very low. So they are in a way going to benefit out of this ruling.
So before that, let's just dig into the numbers a bit. So here you can see the unit economics of PVR and INOX. So let's just focus on PVR in the sake of time. So this is a per ticket unit economics. if PVR अब टिकट बेचता है तो एवरेज में 230 रुपीज का टिकट होता है. आफ्टर नेट ऑफ GST एंड ऑनलाइन फीस दे कम टू नेट ATP of 165 रुपीज. ठीक है, is what they pocket from the sale of those tickets. उसके बाद they will pay something for to the distributors, say Dharma Production. This is what they pay for the box office.
Amit, there is still some disturbance at your end.
Yeah, Ajit, why don't you take this?
Yeah. I think some issue with your earphone. ठीक है. Now once you get to the net ATP, after subtracting all the costs, you will pay close to 40-45% of your earnings to the producer, the guy who has actually made the movie. So let's say you pay 71 rupees to the Yes Raj and the similar guys of the world. You are left with 94 rupees. So out of this 94 rupees, now you have to recover all your cost, all your variable cost. So there is no variable cost, all your fixed costs out of that. So assuming you are not doing F&B, you are not doing ad spend, you are not doing convenience fees, you are going to incur a fixed cost of 143 rupees. So it will be 94 rupees minus 143 rupees. You are left with a loss of around 50 rupees per ticket. And PVR sells close to 2, if I'm not wrong, 2 to 3 crores tickets in a year. So you are sitting at a loss of around 100 to 200 crores in a year. That is when this ancillary source of income comes into picture: F&B, ad spend, and convenience fees. So F&B is in terms of absolute level, F&B is the biggest margin generator for them. So this is just a margin figure after removing all the variable cost, the staff and the cost of manufacturing that product.
Yeah, so looking at it from a different perspective, say अगर F&P में जो 60 रुपीज का इनकम है, अगर वो आता नहीं for PVR, in that case PVR would be earning a loss EBITDA लेवल पे. ठीक है, 61 काट दो तो 3 रुपीज का लॉस है, तो they would be mostly breaking even there. ठीक है, या फिर सपोज अगर F&B का नहीं आ रहा 60 रुपीज, so they'll obviously not break even practically. What they will do is they'll hike their ticket prices. They'll start charging maybe 290 300 rupees from tickets. ठीक है, तो वन क्वेश्चन और काउंटर क्वेश्चन देयर वुड बी कि सपोज द पीवीआर चार्जेस 300 रुपीज और every ticket, every multiplex chains hike their ticket price by 20% or 30% to take care of this. In that case, you'll go to a multiplex or not? What is an alternative that you have?
OTT platforms.
Okay. Any other alternative?
Yeah, people would be starting to go into standalone cinemas. because I think they would be having cheaper rates for the tickets.
Okay, fair enough.
Okay.
So let's say if we just target to the main markets for PVR, main market for PVR will be, let's say, a Mumbai or a Delhi. Let's say if we are speaking about Mumbai. So in Mumbai, I want to spend my weekend. I got this quite famous Hollywood movie coming in. Let's say Wonder Woman, and I have this option uh, to go to PVR, and I just saw that PVR has increased their price from 233 rupees to 300 rupees. What is the alternative that I will be having to spend my weekend? So this is basically your key demand drivers that a PVR will factor in.
Can I answer?
Yeah, sure.
I think if you want to spend the weekend, and if you take into account that the prices have increased, you might decide to go, for example, to a water park maybe, or to a mall, or you will, I think, find other source of entertainment which might be cheaper. And if you, and it will actually depend on the person, but if you are looking for a cinematic experience only, so I think you'll buy the ticket. But I think if PVR increases the prices, a lot of people will actually uh, diverge in other forms of entertainment. So, if I'm correct.
Okay, fair enough.
So then the question here comes ki, in that catchment area, say in that locality, what is the other form of entertainment that you have? Yeah, do you have a local theater there? They take places of Mumbai like Worli or a Kolaba. Do you have any alternative there?
And the question is not about just spending time, spending quality time. So the tier 2 3 theaters, uh, so one hint that I would like to drop here is that one more source of quality time that you can have is by visiting a restaurant. So that is your one more option for you. But the thing is you just don't get different amount of content over there. The menu है ना, वो menu उतना ही रहने वाला है. But if I go to PVR every alternate week, I'm going to see new content there, and PVR is not spending anything for that content. It is the job of the producer to manufacture the content. So the thing is, if you are staying in Mumbai or Delhi, you have very limited options in terms of spending time uh, regularly. I would say there are hundred of different options, but you just cannot visit mall every alternate week, because the amount of content, the amount of stores that you are going to see in a mall is going to be the same. The F&B offering in an restaurant is going to be the same every weekend. uh, One more option, rightly pointed out, was that I could go and visit in water park. But let's face it, like in the last 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, how many of us has actually visited a water park? Max once, twice, or at max thrice. So that is not a sustainable form of entertainment that anyone can target, right?
One thing more exists. Uh, what I can see that cinemas don't actually have a perfect substitute, but definitely in case these guys think to increase the ticket price in a season of IPL, or if any cricket series or any football series is happening, so the viewers will be diverging there, and specifically IPL or any for football series is organized and held in India, so they'll be going towards the stadiums. So But yes, again, this all depends that when exactly are they thinking to hike the prices. And these guys definitely have a very strong post position. These guys can form a cartel and can raise up the price of the tickets anytime, and they can definitely fluctuate and improve their profit margin. So yes, these guys are in a strong poker position.
Yeah, I would say very good point. But there are two different things over here. Firstly is that let's say I have an option to visit, let's say Mumbai Indians का match चल रहा है. I have that option, and I have a movie to catch up.
Hmm.
So yeah, that looks to a very good alternative. So I can probably choose an Mumbai Indians ka match over an random movie that is going to played out. So that is a very good thing. That can be an, or that is basically a good alternative. But when you are comparing two options, that is either to catch up a movie that is going to be a match in my living room versus going out and actually visiting a
Correct.
multiplex. Yeah, now it becomes a very different thing altogether. So here I'm not just comparing content. So this will so let's bring here the most debated topic of OTT versus multiplexing. So OTT is a content thing, multiplex is not a content thing. Let's get it straight. Multiplex is more about experience, less about content. I think most of you would have gone to a random movie that is going to be shitty, but despite that you have gone out there and visited that and viewed that movie. So content thing, obviously it is important, but it is more of an experience thing if you are going out and visiting a multiplex. So an OTT can compete with an multiplex only when the viewing experience is the same. When I'm getting the same sort of experience when I'm going out there, chilling out, looking at a movie in a multiplex. So what do you think? Like OTT can be a competitor for multiplex or not? So I know it can be, but why do you think so? Like, any guesses? Just to add, for a fact that DVDs existed for the last 20 years. You know for a fact that pirated movies existed for the last 10-20 years. TVs, everyone has had TV in their living room. Everyone can view content. So why do you think an OTT will let's say wipe out multiplexes? Or do you think, or do you don't think?
One more hint there. Whenever, say, you're doing a research on a company, working as a research analyst or an investment professional, you always have to look for data points. Say, matlab, similar things that have occurred in the past, similar products that have disrupted any other industry in the past. In other geographies, ऐसा कुछ हुआ है क्या? So you will have to look at data points to justify your rationale. You should not have some biases. कि मेरे को लगता है कि OTT या Netflix better है, तो I'll not go to PVR.
Yeah. So all the things that we have discussed in the last 30 minutes or all, most of that thing what I have told is backed out of data. I can prove that, and that is the work of a research analyst. And that is not to say that it is right. I can be horribly wrong. OTT might wipe out multiplex in let's say 2 years, but it is a thing of backing out with data. How can you prove it? OTT is better or OTT is not better. The thing about the random past instances, think about some data that you can just throw up. So that is how research works.
I would like to speak on this. So I think multiplex experience and OTT experience is very different. Like they are not directly comparable because, as you mentioned, that it is an experience if you are going to a multiplex. So I think OTT cannot compete with multiplexes in that in that aspect because they are selling an experience. But also I think that why OTT is a relevant competition for multiplexes is because the amount of consumption in an OTT platform is far higher than in PVR. So, for example, if I have a lot of free time on a particular given day, I might be able to watch two movies, or a movie and a series also in the OTT platform. But I don't think that I will go to watch two movies straight in a row in one particular day. So I think the amount of time and just the accessibility of OTT platforms is very easy and very accessible than multiplexes. So just my two
But
cents.
actually, suppose if you have to back that, well, you are just telling one context or one example. If you have to back that with data, what kind of data will you look at
Uh, Data for what, sir?
for backing the same thing? If
The
experience is not good, या like similar industry, similar geographies, ऐसा कुछ कहीं हुआ है क्या? If you have to check out, where will you check out? What will be your sources of data? Yeah, how will you justify that?
that people prefer OTT
हाँ
more or
हाँ
not?
whatever मतलब whatever you're saying, how will you
because
back that with data?
just to add, people जो customer का preference है, it keeps on changing. Now let's say 2 years ago no one was talking about electric vehicle, but now you see the stock of Tesla, and after 5-10 years I don't think electric vehicle is going to be a thing, that is just a thing. It is going to be real. So preferences are going to change over the years. You have to back that with data. uh,
I think the number of bookings made, or the number of subscriptions which has gone up, I think we can see from that, or the number of OTT platforms floating in the market also show that the preference curve is changing of customers. And if we talk about current times, I think people in future will also, I think for safety reasons as well, they might choose OTT platforms, because they have sort of एक comfort level आ चुका है maybe,
Hmm.
and maybe they expect कि एक one time subscription पे they can have unlimited access to new movies as well. So
Hmm.
that I think
Got it.
can be,
Now,
yeah.
say for instance, one data point would be, कि look at the highest collection that any movie has made on an OTT platform. ठीक है? And compare that with a higher with a collection that is made in a multiplex release. Say a Salman Khan movie or an Amitabh Bachchan movie releasing on OTT, how much ROI do they make, and how much
Yes.
ROI do they make on a multiplex? Would that be comparable? Say
No,
for
no,
example,
I
if I
don't think.
throw you data points, say Amitabh Bachchan movie on a Hotstar, or say on Amazon Prime was brought for 80 crores. Okay, that was the highest that was paid for any movie. Now
Yes,
multiplexes movie have grossed more than 1,000 crore also.
yes, yes, because it
Then why would someone release on OTT?
uh, the need of the hour. I think the OTT release of a film was not a very preferable choice for, I think,
Hmm.
filmmakers in the pre-COVID era, because as you said, that the profit margin is, I think, very less, and it is
Hmm.
majorly dependent on the OTT platform in which on which you are selling. They
Hmm.
might you just give you a specific amount, and in the multiplexes, if the movie is doing good, people might revisit. The people always talk about going for a show for 2 times, or maybe watching a movie 3 times. And yes,
Hmm.
definitely the gross net box office performance is better in multiplex form. So
Hmm.
yes, yes, I think I
Got
I,
it.
I don't
One
think so.
more
I don't think, yeah, OTT will
one more data
be.
data point. One more data point that you can think of. Ki say there are some 8,000 movies that get produced in India. Out
Okay.
of that, only 5% of them get released on theaters. So say if OTT captures say 50% of movies that are produced in India. ठीक है?
Hmm.
Will that in any way impact box office releases?
okay.
I'm not
आठ
able to
हजार में से
get you.
चार say 8,000 movies, 8,000 movies are produced in India. Out of that, say 500 movies are only released in theaters. ठीक
Okay.
है? Suppose OTT comes in and start capturing 4,000 movies. ठीक है, which are
Okay.
not getting released in theaters. और
Okay.
theaters के movies are getting released in the same way. A Salman Khan movie, Akshay Kumar movie is getting released in the same way. Will that
Hmm.
impact a box office collection?
It depends on preference of people, I think, and
Hmm.
how much free or leisure time they are having. I mean, because I think थिएटर की जो मूवीज हैं दैट इज
Hmm.
प्रेफरेबल बाय मोस्ट पीपल. अगर सलमान खान की मूवी थिएटर पे रिलीज हो रही है तो नेचुरली उसके ज्यादा व्यूअर्स हैं. और जो आपने 4,000 अदर मूवीज बताई थी जो ओटीटी अपने प्लेटफॉर्म पे ला रहा है, बट उसके जो व्यूअर्स हैं वो भी मतलब कम है. मतलब आई एम अज्यूमिंग राइट नाउ कि वो इतने
Hmm.
ज्यादा हो सकता है वेल नोन एक्टर्स ना हो या बहुत ज्यादा
Hmm.
बड़े प्रोडक्शन प्रोजेक्ट्स ना हो वो. तो
Hmm.
that will definitely help OTT platforms to gain content and
Hmm.
sell the content. हो सकता है वो जैसे उन्हें पसंद आ जाए viewers को, but
Fair enough.
yeah, but yeah, that can be yes an added advantage to OTT platforms, but I don't think it will be very very detrimental to multiplexes because
हाँ.
उनकी एक set वो है मतलब व्यूअरशिप है. मतलब they have
हाँ.
been surviving in the past years also with that
Hmm.
particular set of actors and that particular set of films which they are able to sell. I think अगर वो एक
Got it.
lesser known film लगा भी देते हैं तो उसके इतने ज्यादा viewers आएंगे नहीं.
हाँ. हाँ. So one data point to say justify your view that you were saying earlier uh, would be to say look at US as a market. See, US में Netflix or say OTT was always there for the last 10-15 years, and they
Okay.
have already penetrated some 50% of the population there. ठीक है, उसकी वजह से बॉक्स
Yes.
ऑफिस में कुछ इम्पैक्ट हुआ है कि नहीं? अगर हुआ है तो देन सिमिलर ट्रेंड्स कैन हैपन इन इंडिया, राइट? इंडिया में ओटीटी पेनिट्रेशन विल बी रियली वेरी वेरी लेस नाउ. मतलब मे बी नेक्स्ट 10 years में दे विल पेनिट्रेट, एंड फिर उसका क्या इम्पैक्ट होगा वो हमें देखना पड़ेगा विद डेवलप इकोनॉमीज कि यूएस में क्या हुआ, मे बी यूरोप में क्या हुआ. हैज नेटफ्लिक्स impacted the domestic box office there or not? So that would be one data point that you'll rely on.
Yes, definitely.
Mhm.
Yes.
So idea is to just make your brains think कि how would a research analyst think? Like most of your work will go in this कि researching on different industries, researching on similar geographies कहाँ पे disruption हुए हैं, figuring out business models of a company, looking at unit economics, whether they make sense or not, thinking of future predictions कि आगे जाके क्या हो सकता है कंपनी में. And you have to back that with data. Maybe meet more people, meet industry experts, meet management of the company, meet do surveys, primary research कर रहे हो तुम viewers के साथ जाके. After that you make a research report, draft it. So that is what a day to day work of most finance analysts happen. Whoever work on the equity side, maybe credit analysis में भी इसका थोड़ा portion होता है. So this is majorly what you look at while you are working in finance.
Also, you have to look at things in a different way. So let's say if I just throw one example, uh, we discussed that OTT is more of a content thing and PVR is more of an experience thing. So you just can't compare an OTT with an PVR. So make this comparison apple to apple. You can compare in PVR with the number of smart TV sold in India. That will make a better comparison. So once you see the chart of number of smart TV sold in India, that has been grown exponentially. So then you can counter ki OTT thing is going to disrupt a PVR because the experience of OTT is going to improve 10 times much better. So that is one more way of looking at it. So the core thing is, as Amit told, it is less about numbers, more about business model, more about understanding the fundamentals, understanding the unit economics. And this is how a core finance roles looks like. And this is exactly the kind of brainstorming we did. Like as I told, I'm working in an equity research fund. So we did the same amount of brainstorming when we invested into PVR 2-3 years ago. So this is an actual sort of case study that we did now. And this numbers thing will follow. Like एक बार आपने जो story है, जो rational है, आपने जब tally कर दिया अपने दिमाग में कि I like the multiplex thing, I like the PVR thing because PVR is a superior sort of multiplex viewing experience versus an INOX versus an tier 2-3 cinema hall. then I will just put in the numbers. Then I will do my projections. Keep PVR will keep on taking a price hike, irrespective of the number of footfalls. 10-20% of price hike is not going to impact footfall substantially, or it might impact footfall substantially. मतलब एक बार जब story बन गया, then is the numbers thing going to come into picture. And DCA valuations, everything is just a 30-minute or 1 hour thing once the story is ready with me. Yeah.
Yeah. So for example, this is one expert forecast that was done in 2000 when AT&T hired McKinsey to forecast ki how many cell phones would be there, maybe 10 years, 15 years down the line. So they came out with the prediction ki almost 1 million cell phones will be there in 2015, whereas the actual number turned out to be 109 million. So smartphone had basically replaced or cell phones had basically replaced your call lines that were there. So disruptions of business models are easier to be disrupted and very difficult to be predicted. How at what timeline it will get disrupted. So sitting here now, it's very difficult for us to predict whether OTT would maybe eat away the share of PVR or not. But you can always take educated guesses. Whoever is correct will uh, make return on their investment. Like it's easier to say, it's easier to back out. There will be always pros and cons on both sides of the table. In favor of OTT, in favor of multiplex, we can give you multiple data points. Ultimately, it's a judgment call. But that is where you don't have to be right in all your judgments. When you make 10 investments or 10 analysis, 10 reports, you can be right in 6, you can be wrong on 4. It's fine, but you just have to do your analysis in a good manner. 6 or 7 out of 10 would be correct if you do it correctly. Similarly, this was there for horses versus car that happened in 1910 to 1920. And in a period of 10 years, the penetration of cars went from 10% to 80%. That was never predicted. So, it's very difficult to sit in and predict something. Similarly, for electric vehicles or autonomous vehicles, it's very difficult to predict what will happen next 10 years down the line. But you should always be aware. You should be aware of the risks that can happen. You should not ignore them. But I think this gives you a flavor on how research analysts think. What would be your work be as a buy side analyst or a equity research analyst or a credit analyst. We'll cover some of the other finance roles that are there in the next subsequent sessions. And also meanwhile, during the course of the week will send you articles on the group on each sub finance roles that will be written by people which are working on those similar profiles. So that will also give you an idea and reference point later on whenever you want to come and check out about those roles. So we are done for today. If you have any questions, you can obviously shoot that.
Hello.
Yeah, Ashik.
I just wanted to ask, can you please explain what is the difference in work between a management consultant and an investment banker or an analyst, as you just mentioned?
Yeah,
Hello.
so investment banker is typically a middleman. He will be just the example that we discussed for PVR. So whenever you are, let's say, looking out for a target company, or let's say you are going to raise funds on the market, or let's say one more example will be if let's say I'm the CEO, I'm the promoter of a company and I want to sell my company to any other company. So I will go to the investment banker and he will act as a middleman. So in crude terms, I can say he is a broker, he is a dalal for me, and he will be negotiating the rates, the terms and conditions with the target company or the customer that I'm dealing with. So the typical work for an investment banker will revolve around, first thing is deal sourcing. So he will create this deal idea. Okay, let's say he will go out to the promoter of PVR and tell that this is an XYZ company, you can buy out that. So deal ideation will be one part. Yeah, deal ideation will be one part for them. One more part will be pitching the promoter. So let's say you go to the PVR promoter and he likes the idea. Then PVR promoter will tell him ki I like the idea. You make some deck, make some PPT out of it and show me. So then you will sit and make presentation on that. So typically around 70 to 80% of an investment banker times will go out, go in making presentation. So at the entry level, you will think कि boss मैं तो बस PPT बना रहा हूँ. So that is how it looks like for an investment banker. You get paid well. It depends on the kind of firm that you are working. Let's say you get to the bulge bracket investment banking firm like McKinsey's and Avenders of the world. You will be getting close to 30 to 40 lakhs. But that is very hard to get by. It is very possible for an IM MBA holder to get into that. But for an CA, you can target companies like O3 Capital, Ambit Capital, and all these tier 2 firms, where you will also be earning quite good, 15 to 20 lakhs. But the kind of work life that exists there, it is very hectic. You will be working close to 15 to 16 hours a day. You won't be having any weekends.
In consulting?
No, I am speaking about investment banking.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay.
So that is how an investment banker roles look like. At an entry level, you will be just making presentations. That will be it. Obviously, exposures and all will be quite good. You will be getting the opportunity to meet top rankers, CXOs of the company. You will be getting to generate deal ideas by discussing with them. So the exposure will be very, very good. Okay. And coming to consulting,
Sir,
it depends.
1 second.
Yeah.
15, 16 hours you said is like during the initial stage, or will it continue throughout the career?
Good question.
No. In most of the profession that you get into, let's say even if you are working in a big four, manager level पे या फिर partner level पे, the amount of workload that you get, it reduces. क्योंकि फिर you can shift the work ना, जो manual work है, you can shift it to your juniors.
So let me give you a statistic. So I have maybe close to 15, 20 friends who are working in investment banking. These are all the front end large banks, maybe mostly out of IIM Calcutta. So I think 3 or 4 of them are currently in depression. 7 or 8 have left their job, uh, and hardly 3 or 4 might be continuing after 2 years. It is that hectic. Okay, so it's very difficult to survive
30
there.
to 40 lakhs a year without bonus.
हाँ, मतलब up to 70 lakhs. So pay is really good. They'll keep you motivated, but you have to work 15, 16 hours daily without any weekends. So and you don't have a life left. So if you are say a workaholic, if you like working under pressure, so it's a good career for you. Otherwise, no. But it's always good to have that exposure for say a year, and then you can always switch to something better or something more.
So is this same for consulting also, management consulting? Like I specifically want to ask for firms like BCG or Bain or McKinsey or Kearney. If you have any idea on that, it would be
Yeah, so
helpful.
their the work quality is better.
But Amit, before that, what do you think in a year? How many CA freshers will get into BCG?
I know that getting into consulting is very, very difficult. I searched very much on LinkedIn. I think I got one connection who was a rank holder in IPCC and I think final also. His name is Anirudh Agarwal, and he is in BCG.
So they take CA rankers all the time. Maybe 5 to 10 people will join this 4 big 4 before in consulting every year, every half year. Maybe say 15 to 20 people will be joining every year. So it's not like if they don't join, and people then move in laterally also. Maybe they work in a good place, uh, say a management training program, maybe in equity research, and after that they move after a year or two in consulting.
So
होता है,
basically, they can
it's not
jump
rare.
from IB
हाँ
profile to consulting profile. That is possible, right?
हाँ हाँ, वो पॉसिबल है. इफ यू वर्क इन अ गुड आईबी, गुड इक्विटी रिसर्च और अ गुड मैनेजमेंट रोल, होता
Okay.
है कि you can literally shift there to a BCG or a McKinsey, but it's rare. होता है, but हाँ, there are some sort of organizations, all these big fours that are there, Deloitte, KPMG, EY, they have their own management consulting arm, which is very different from your financial consulting that CAs get typically hired on. वहाँ पे भी people get hired, CAs get hired generally. You can target for those management consulting roles, but that is also quite difficult to get into, to be very frank.
Okay.
So
Uh-huh.
if
But
we
being a ranker helps. Being a ranker will get you an interview call at least from all these places.
So, is there anything different or easier for a person who is already having investment banking experience at articleship level?
Then
In case
investment banking and then any finance will become easier in that case. So if you already have
I
some
see.
prior background of say valuation, pitching, stock research, वो है तो it's easier to crack those interviews, finance interviews that you appear for. So you're getting into investment banks become much easier क्योंकि तुमने कर रखा है already. Yeah, I would have already worked
Correct.
long hours, so you can justify that. मतलब say when you're sitting for investment banking interview, their first question is कि तुम कर पाओगे कि नहीं कर पाओगे. It's not about whether you're smart or not,
Hmm.
whether you can work for 16 hours or not. Like tell me one instance where you have worked for 16 hours earlier. So
Where
so
you
that
work
is
for?
why
Sorry.
they'll for say 16 18 hours in your life earlier. ऐसा कुछ किया है क्या कभी आज तक? तो वहाँ पे it becomes difficult to for anyone to justify कि मैंने ऐसा कुछ किया नहीं आज तक.
also
So
in
and
a
that is
way
very
your
fair क्योंकि
yeah,
yeah
yeah.
Jit.
So also in a way your CV can tell you कि tell an interviewer कि बंदे में capability है कि नहीं. Let's say he is from SRCC or St. Xavier's or the top tier colleges, or let's say he was a ranker throughout his school. So you know that this guy can slog hard. Or let's say he started his own startup along with doing preparation for articleship. Or let's say
Hmm.
he had done his articleship from Big Four. Along with that, he also has done 2-3 other random assignments. He's worked at an NGO and other stuff. So in a way shows
Hmm.
कि हाँ बंदा fight मार सकता है. He has this capacity to work 15-16 hours in a day, and that shows in your CV.
I see. So it's just that
हाँ
when we sit for an IB interview, and we are having a like experience of investment banking and articleship as well. So it just becomes easier to crack the interviews. वहाँ पे. But how
हाँ हाँ.
exactly to get an interview call? The major challenge will be that HR uh, finds it finds it's quite fine to call you for an interview because you are a CA and you want to work for investment banking division.
There are firms who prefer CA freshers. मतलब I have not seen people companies preferring someone with a 2 or 3 years experience. Instead CA freshers को लोग ज़्यादा prefer करते हैं. In fact, क्योंकि they would be straight out of graduation. They'll be willing to work 16 hours. People with 3-4 years experience, they'll not be willing to work so many hours. So CA freshers, being a fresher is not a bad thing in IB. But like there are, we have a list of organizations who hire CA freshers. We'll
Right.
share that eventually. Yeah, so if you're actively
Because
looking for a role, you can always reach out to us. That, yep.
correct, sir, because I'm already having articleship experience in investment banking. So that's what I was looking out for. So currently I'm in the second year of my articleship, and it's been approximately 1 year. So earlier I was working into trade transfer pricing and trade taxation for about 1 year in my articleship. So I switched from that field because वो एक साल हो गया था. So I understood the things और वो फिर काम repetitive लगने लगा था. But here what the thing is that the work is not definitely repetitive. So this is the biggest plus point for me. Like I cannot work on a repeated assignments with me. So that's what speaking for longer perspective. I want to do investment banking. So that's why
Yeah, so there
I
are
was asking out for these.
organizations who hire that. मतलब global bank से hire
Right.
करते हैं CAs को. But most of them are pre-MBA roles. But you definitely have opportunities I know a lot of CA freshers who got into investment banking.
Great.
तो वो है.
Okay, so this
हाँ,
is
like वो say
possible
once you are looking out,
this
you
is
can
the
always
thing.
reach out to us.
Great,
हाँ
great. वो तो है ही
yeah.
sir, definitely.
हाँ
I'll
हाँ
be looking out for guidance from you.
हाँ 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 sure.
One more thing which I want to ask, you emphasized the importance of ranks uh, or articleship maybe from Big Four to get an interview or get a selection. So, would you suggest an industrial training experience from any IB firm in order to make a career in that? Because I've heard that the work is quite monotonous, and as you just said, that do you think it will be a good idea if I am in a, for example, top 10 firm and not a Big Four? So should I take up industrial training in an IB firm?
Obviously, if you get into, obviously, yeah, no brainer hai. Even if you get into an IB, you can easily skip 6 months, you can defer your CA attempt and all. So
Okay.
that is anyway better than doing an let's say audit or taxation work.
Okay.
But
So do you think that for a selection I'll still be needing a rank or anything, or the chance of selection might increase given that they have already seen my performance for around 9 months or maybe 1 year? I
um,
don't know.
like frankly speaking, it is difficult to get an interview call as an industrial trainee. But
Okay.
if you get into, if you just have to clear the interview, that is not very difficult. But getting the interview call is very difficult
Why
initially.
so?
Because these roles are generally filled up by your references. Let's say if I'm working at
For
Ambit,
industrial training?
yeah,
Okay.
or it is created by reference also.
Okay.
They don't generally have this opening of industrial training.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay.
But it is always easier to try out now than trying out after becoming a CA.
Okay. Can you like list out the firms which we can target? You mentioned, I think, O3 Capital. Do they hire IDs?
So we will share the entire list of names where we have seen our friends actually getting a role. We will
Okay.
share the names across all the verticals in IV, consulting, private equity, equity research.
Sure.
Yeah,
Thank you.
but yeah, coming to finance, frankly speaking, investment banking and private equity roles and consulting roles are very tough to get into.
Yes.
But you can obviously target the other kind of roles, like equity research role is one role that will always prefer a CA fresher if you are from a right technical background. So that is relatively easier to get into, and work I think is far better. Obviously it depends on your interest, if you're interested in stock markets or not. But
Okay.
work is at least comparable to other kind of roles, and it is a lot interesting. The case that we studied on, that we discussed on PVR, it is from that equity research background that I was speaking of.
All right.
Yeah.
All right. Thank
So
you.
so this is one equity research I would say is one of the easiest, relatively is one of the easiest to target into, because they generally prefer a CA plus CFA candidate.
Okay.
Credit rating is much more easier to get into, but here the exposure is a bit limited, because you will be just working on debt instrument. You won't be looking at growth and ESA VOSA. You will be just looking at leverage ratio, interest coverage ratio. So it will be a bit limited. Pay will be a bit low, but yeah, it is exposure wise it is good to start with.
Can you name some firms who hire some equity research or credit rating firms which hire CA freshers?
So we'll be sharing all the names. And credit rating, you have the credit rating agency like Crisil, Care, ICRA. You have
Yeah.
your banks like HSBC, JP Morgan, Barclays. They have the
Okay.
credit rating agencies, credit rating units with them.
Okay.
In equity research, there are hundreds of firms out there. Top ones will be Ambit Capital, Edelweiss, Avendus. You will be having IFL, your foreign banks like Nomura. So we'll be sharing all these things. We'll be sharing the list. We don't want to sound monotonous here and to give out
Okay.
names here. We'll be sharing that. So just to share one example. So if I give my own example, I am not a CA ranker. I don't have an finance experience in my articleship. I was from a tax background,
Okay.
but I eventually ended up at HSBC in the credit research department. I worked there for close to 6 months. After that, I moved into a buy side role at Ambit Capital, which is into equity research roles. So it is possible if you are not even from an audit background, if you even don't have a rank, if you don't have a finance experience, you have not done valuations and other stuffs in your articleship, it is possible. But yeah, the fight increases. You have to give increase the number of interviews to increase the probability. You have to develop a bit of skill so you clear out your interviews. But yeah, it is
Such
possible.
as skills, such as
Skills such as the typical questions will be you should at least know what a valuation is, how to do a DCF, what is free cash flow to firm, what is beta, what is all these things. So that is the basic thing. You should be aware about ratio analysis. So let's see, if I give you one simple example, ki ROC and ROE ka difference kya hai? What is the difference between both these things? Will I prefer a firm with a higher ROC or a firm with a higher ROE? While in CA we get to learn how to calculate ROC, but it doesn't teach us where to use ROC. So
yes.
that is the demerit I see while doing a CA. So you need to be hands on with your ratio analysis thing. You should know कि leverage ratios क्या होता है. Debt equity ratio is one of the leverage ratio that you will look. Interest coverage ratio is one of the ratio you will look. You will see how the margins is going to shape up. Like let's say अगर मैं company का employee cost, I'm going to increase the employee cost for a company. How are the margins and other things going to move for the company? So you should be hands on with this thing.
So did you look up videos on this? Like how did you prepare, given the fact that you were from a taxation background? What special efforts basically you did at that time?
So
First being increasing the number of frequency of interviews, as you said.
so the one thing is you need to have that sort of interest. So I was interested in stock market, so I was
Yes.
already tracking stock markets. I was tracking few companies out there.
Oh,
So that is the first thing. Let's say if you are interested in investment banking, you should have that real sort of interest. You should google out कि deals क्या हो रहे हैं market में, कौन से top investment banks हैं, एक investment banking deals क्या क्या हुए हैं last 6 महीना 1 साल में. So basic idea तो होना चाहिए at least. That shows your interest in that role. Okay. So once you get that interest, like let's say I was interested in stock market, so I used to read few books, not very much, so at least 2-3 books तो पढ़ना चाहिए at least. In equity research, कौन सा, how to evaluate stocks. You should go in and out in on few or 2-3 stocks at least. So let's say I had done audit for few cement companies, ACC and Ambuja. So using that, I studied the business model of cement companies. So you will just google out. It is not very difficult, but you need to know कि हाँ करना क्या है. अभी now you are clear कि चलो cement companies का business model समझना है. So you can just google out business model of cement companies. You will get to know उनका revenue driver क्या होता है, cost क्या होता है. Main cost for them is let's say the raw material clinker. Main cost is for them power. ये सब वो सब. Now download balance sheets of few companies like ACC का balance sheet download कर दिया और थोड़ा पढ़ने लग गए. Okay. No one is going to ask very technical stuffs out there. Okay, let's say ACC cement, why is ACC cement better than Ambuja? ये सब नहीं पूछेंगे. They will ask you basic questions like cement company का revenue driver क्या है, अभी क्या लगता है? According to you, why cement stocks are doing good? Because infrastructure development is going to be there post COVID. So ये सब जो basic questions है about the business model, about the ecosystem, you should be aware about. And these are not rocket science. Matlab, you can just Google out and you can get a clarity on that.
Yes. Got it. Thank you.
Yeah.
So it's basically a pinch of, fundamental analysis if we are going out for equity research. So we should be knowing how to do fundamental analysis. So here do we mean that, a person who is having a trader's mindset should be avoiding equity research role?
Sorry, I didn't get you.
So,
Okay, so,
let me take that. I think you mean trading and equity research. If you compare both the roles,
correct.
trading is completely different. It's not a finance role. It's more a buy sell role. It's a completely different field. Someone is interested in trading, they can try their hands on trading. Someone is interested in fundamentals, they can try, or maybe finance or business they can try all this finance sort of roles. Say, for example, if you are doing trading, working in a place like Future First or World Quant, something like that,
Exactly.
you can't shift to equity research, you can't shift to other profiles. So दोनों का
Correct.
skill set work पूरा ही different होता है. There is no correlation
Hmm.
between them.
True. Thanks. Yeah.
हाँ हाँ तो मतलब for example if you all these things that we talked about, if you're interested in them, then you will not see that in trading, and things that you're interested in trading, that will be completely different. So you
Correct.
should not confuse that. See, कि मैं trading में जाऊंगा और फिर वहां से fundamentals में move हो जाऊंगा, work नहीं करता ऐसे.
So your typical day let's say in a Future First will look like you will be given a product. So let's say you will be given a FX market. So आपको dollar पे trading करना है. So you'll be just taking bets whether to buy dollar now or sell dollar or at what price I should sell dollar. So in that thing you are not doing any sort of research because it is not fundamental backed. It is news backed. कि let's say अभी forex fluctuation होने वाला है, कोविड का कुछ न्यूज आने वाला है, यूएस प्रेसिडेंशियल इलेक्शन में क्या होने वाला है. So these are the things that will drive foreign exchange or US dollar. So you'll be taking a call on that. You won't be doing research on US market or research on any particular sector or company. So the skill set required is quite different in that.
Correct. Got it. And why should exactly one opt out for jobs here? You can get a HPCL, earn 50 lakhs a year, save out a few bucks, and why not implement upon your own strategies and learn and implement. So one can himself create big bucks out of it. There's no basically, I actually don't find sense, going into a trading job. So it's actually better to implement those things on own pocket.
It is very difficult to implement, easy to say, because the kind of environment that you, let's say if you're working in Future First, you will be having you will make friendship with other traders, you will be in the middle of things, you will get better access to resources, better access of softwares, data, you will be having a senior to learn from. So that kind of environment makes a different thing. Well, let's say if you are interested in stock markets, you have an option to invest for yourself without working as well as an independent investor. But it becomes difficult. It is very difficult to network with others because you won't be having that backing. You won't have that institutional backing. You won't have access to softwares like Bloomberg, FactSet, Capital IQ, and all. So that organization thing makes a difference, and also you are getting paid to learn. That is the most important thing that I like in my current role.
Correct.
So why work independently? कोई पैसे दे रहा है यार सीखने के लिए और क्या चाहिए. And if you get into a field that you are passionate about, let's say if you are passionate about due diligence and you are working in FTD, you will think that same in that same way कि यार कोई पैसे दे रहा है मेरे को सीखने के लिए. But let's say if you go to an ITC and you don't like that work, accounting का work कर रहे हो तुम कोई और उनका factory site पे होता है, it is generally at the work site and it is in most cases at the outskirts of cities. तो वहीं पे रह के you are doing an accounting sort of role, you are being paid very well, 18 lakhs to 20 lakhs, but after a point you will get fed up with that role. मतलब कोई motivation नहीं बचेगा वहाँ पे. So this software aspect that it matters a lot eventually. But once you clear your CA, you will see, let's say CA campus में जाओगे, so you will see that sort of mad rush कि यार कोई offer मिल जाए कहीं भी मिल जाए. HPCL is one of the most coveted role. I will get into that. मिल गया तो बहुत अच्छा. Then you will not think a second about other alternatives. So वो होता है. That is why we are doing this workshop.
And sir, one more thing. How is it easy? I mean, they're definitely not easy. How is it like opening own practice with CA firm into investment banking? Suppose I want to open a CA firm, having clients for the evaluation, due diligence, M&As. So how tough or easy it is? They definitely it's not easy. But my main question is that how exactly to get and retain clients? Because what I have observed is that when you already have a practice of CA, when it is into investment banking, it's unlike GST, you have the clients for every month, you have the returns for every month. But that's not the case in the investment banking. एक ने आपसे वैल्यूएशन करा ली तो वो next 5 years तक आपके पास नहीं आ रहा.
I have very limited experience on this side, but I would suggest ki whenever you are going to start something of your own, better to always work on that field for at least a year or so to get in
Hmm.
insights. You have your entire life to do your own thing. Just work somewhere for 1-2 years, and then you will get hangs of thing.
True.
How to generate client, how our revenue actually driven out, क्या क्या clients को क्या क्या requirement है, and all that thing. मतलब, that is what I would suggest, but with the disclaimer, I am not well aware about this thing.
Okay. Thank you, sir. That's it from my side.
Okay. So sorry to tell, in CA campus there will be very limited core finance roles. At least I didn't find that during my time, and it is difficult to. I don't think there are any roles in the CA campus. I think there are few. I think future first आता है, and there are 1 to 3 roles, but they hire also 1 to 3 candidates, not more than that. So it is very difficult to get an core finance role from CA campus. So getting an interview is a very challenging job, and right now also, especially now, I think it will be a bit challenging because of COVID. But thankfully, job market is opening up. I can see a lot of opening coming up. It was not the same 2-3 months ago, but hopefully it will normalize after 2-3 months, once you get your CA results and all. But getting a interview call for core finance is difficult. That is what I want to make it clear. So be prepared that 1 or 2 calls that you get, you convert that, because you are not going to get 5, 10 chances. If you are aiming for an audit profile, you are going to get 10, 15, 20 interviews if you want to. But in core finance, that it becomes very challenging and very difficult. So be prepared to convert that 1 or 2 chance that you are going to get. So the thing about hello, yeah, sorry, there was some issue with my net. So I was telling ki, relatively there is less stigma about second attempt, third attempts, but at the same time, the kind of competition that you will be facing, it becomes difficult to compete with an ranker or a first attempt guy. So I would say, in terms of interview calls, you will get interview calls, but then you have to prove yourself during the interviews. Relatively, it is the stigma is quite low compared to audit or taxation profile about first attempt. So social impact funds, they are just for the namesake social impact fund. They don't invest into NGOs. they are at the end of the day profit making entities. They invest into profitable enterprises, and the thing is, only the enterprises that they invest into, it should be some impact making. Let's say it should give education to the rural area, or housing finance company in rural areas, something similar like tractor finance companies in the rural areas, or children education thing. So that is the motive, but it is similar to any other private equity funds. And getting into private equity funds, to be frank, is very difficult even for an MBA graduate. So Amit, I think Amit is not on the call. So he is working in a PE fund. He got that post his MBA at IMCAL. As a fresher, it becomes difficult to aim into private equity funds. Okay, I guess I think we should. Yeah, SK, sure, go on. So I guess we should end the meeting if we don't have any other question. Uh, so we discussed it. Multiple attempts is always challenging, to be frank. But at the same time, I would suggest you should start building on your skill, because let's say if a first attempt guy is going to get 10 interviews, you are going to get probably 5 or 6 interviews. But it again depends on you to convert that interview. So the number of interviews that you are going to get is going to be limited, but once you get that interview, then it doesn't depend ki first attempt hai ya second attempt hai. And there are few organizations out there, let's say ITC हो गया, that profiles is going to be difficult. You can try for. He cleared his CA in third attempt. So now he's working in ICRA as a credit research analyst. So they don't pay you well. So pay will be close to 6 to 7 lakhs. But yeah, work is better. At credit research role. Yeah, I hope this was a good experience. You got to learn something. So see you in the next workshop.